Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Griffin, that's Theta, and we're here to watch some Gundam Double
I
O.
don't know how you pointed the wrong way, but it's just the two of us.
You're here, you're there, you're everywhere, your
I've
second
never
friend,
changed on this layout.
Theta.
You're
Well,
pointing off into dead space.
you're the only other person here still. It's okay, space wraps around.
This is my microphone, Theta. That's what you did.
That's right, I mean, it's the person I'm talking to here, right?
Sure. I'm talking specifically to Griff, which is what I call the upper left corner of my monitor.
But today we have a poll. We asked you all a question, we're gonna see what you all thought. So, Theta, give us the details.
Well, I mean, first we're gonna debate this ourselves, or at least figure out where we stand on who amongst the three protagonist Gundams would win in a fight. The Barbatos, I'm gonna say piloted by their respective. You know what? I think even footing, right? Even footing. This is stuff we're going to clarify for future
Yeah.
polls, by the way. Even footing. Let's say generic Gundam pilot of uh, same skill across all borders, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And another thing we have to cover in future ones. Let's say it's set in space, so that being unable to fly is not such a hindrance that everybody gets to fight. Nobody gets ground pounded.
Space is
Between
the place.
between the Barbatos, aerial rebuild, and Exia.
Right. And I believe, if you'd like me to go ahead and give my opinion first, I think I put my hat in with Exia in this case. Reasons I will elaborate on in a moment, but Theta, what did you choose?
God, I do miss the death battle days. This is right back to that. Ah, well, as I hinted before, and I don't know, it was either in a YouTube comment or on Discord. I went with my most hated of all of them. I went with the Barbatos because I believe the Barbatos would win this.
Hmm. I believe you have experience with Gundam Evolutions, the FPS game that came out, and getting dunked on by Barbatos quite a bit. Yes.
Well, that's not what I was basing this on. In fact, I was basing it. Well, I'd say I hate it more for its pilot than anything else, but
True. As a standalone machine, Barbatos is pretty cool looking. Then again, most of the Gundams are. It's hard to find a bad one. They do exist though.
alright, well, why do you think the Exia would win?
Well, if we take a look at the defensive capabilities of all of our combatants, the Barbatos has this laser reflective armor, which, as I've heard, is standard for most series.
I'm
That
gonna interrupt just to correct you as it comes so I don't get, like, left in the dust on this.
Sure.
Uh, Incorrect? Remember episodes like 23 and 24 of Double O, where they're just getting shot with laser beams and shit's flying off of them?
We'll get back to that. That's why I said it's standard in most
I'm
series.
saying it's not because we've seen it in practice being not.
Anyway, let me continue. So the Barbatos has an advantage. The Witch from Mercury universe has no such advantages. And meanwhile, the Double O universe Gundams are just straight out immune to everything that is not specifically anti Gundam weaponry.
I like that
So,
saying you thought this out and that I interrupted you and already destroyed that argument.
you didn't.
I
You
did.
just gave me further evidence. I
What
don't
do you
know
mean
what you're
further evidence?
talking
I just
about.
told you, episodes 23 and 24, they get shot with laser weapons and literally their arms and legs come off. They are not, one, reflective armors like the Barbatos is, and two, they're no more immune to getting shot by shit than anything else. They don't even have Gundanium. They are eminently destroyable. The only thing they have is the shielding, and you didn't even mention that.
Well, still, the nano laminate armor is an advantage that they have, which I would say that the Witcher Mercury universe doesn't necessarily have. The Witcher Mercury universe robots just get destroyed immediately. There's never been a fight where one of them isn't completely smashed up by the end of it.
Well, the
But
problem here is that neither of us is defending Witch from Mercury, so
right,
I
exactly.
I would argue
Which
though
is,
that the aerial does have that giant laser shield thing it can put up.
but that is just one of my two cases here. The second one is that of special things going on. The Witcher Mercury universe, of course, has whatever is going on with Ariel. I'm gonna say there's a big box right there, and I'm not going to go ahead and explain it here, but it is not comparable, I think, to the Alea Vinyana system, which specifically turns Mikazuki into like a super demon able to compete with machines. Nor does it seem to be comparable to the Exia's Trans Am mode, which, quite honestly, literally gives it superpowers. I do not think either of those systems compares. So if it came down to a straight up brawl between these machines, the Exia could not be hurt and would be too fast for either of them to handle.
I feel like you
Those would be
came
my
I
cases.
feel like you came in anticipating that I was going to pick the aerial because it seems like you're like
I
you've
had
got
to
the
tier
sights.
I gave my full tier of the ordering of operations here. I think it probably goes Double O, Barbatos, Witcher Mercury.
Well, I didn't vote for the aerial, but again, I think a lot of people are discounting it. It's got
Hmm.
it's got like Wing Zero level weaponry plus shielding, so it's like a middle ground between a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
Barbatos is invincible to laser weapons, which the Exia is not, despite you saying so.
But episode
Literally,
23 and 24, Theta, they just get shot by lasers and explode.
not the Barbatos. No, you remember it goes up against the Calamity Machine thing and gets shot and just fucking ignores it because
Right,
it's in.
so everything you said before was completely pointless. Thank you. Continue.
What are you talking about? I just said 23, 24, Gundam 00, Season 1. All of the Gundams get shot to pieces by laser weapons. Barbatos gets shot with laser weapons. Nothing happens to it. It's immune to it. Literally, it stands in a Wing Zero type beam and just fucking ignores it. So, yeah, your Exia being immune to lasers? Incorrect. Evidence given in the review. Go watch our reaction to it.
So continue.
The only thing that they have defensively is this GN particle sphere thing around them, which
Mhm.
we would think is like, totally immune to attack,
A
except
straight up force shield.
except for what was that, episode 25, where we shoved our fists through it and fucking attacked the guy on the inside. God, if only Barbatos had some sort of really strong melee weapon that it literally shoves through everything anytime it gets into a fight. Barbatos, immune to your weapons because all you do is fire laser beams, except for your melee weapons, which we've seen break against other things in your own universe. So that's not great. Remember our whole conversation about when we thought they were made of Gundanium or something? And I was like,
Yeah.
well, go back and pick up his sword. It was pointed out, no, that's just regular ass materials.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we've seen him lose his own weapons. So not a great counter to the Barbatos, which is all melee all the time. Can't be hurt by your beam weapons because it's beam immune.
Mhm.
I mean, the whole you're not beam immune thing doesn't really come into play because Barbatos isn't firing beams. It just means that
Right, exactly.
you
So
can't hurt it at range.
this comes down to a melee fight between the two. And what is your guess on how that would go?
I think the Alea Vignana is comparable to the Exia in that we remember there's been the conversations of, oh my god, he's moving so quick. He's moving like an animal's predatory sense or some shit. Like,
Mhm.
in his own universe, shit could not keep up to him. And,
Yeah.
he has that overdrive mechanic too where he'll go paralyzed, but at the same point he'll win the fight. Because He
Right,
has his own
both of
Trans
our
Am.
characters here in either mech would be on a timer, right? The Trans Am runs out of energy, and then Mikazuki just straight up dies.
Well, he passes out. I mean, we've never seen him go, so I mean, I think
He
his
probably could. I think that was the metaphor. But either way, both of them have like basically the same penalty here, which is what's funny.
right, and I think they're comparable in that they both super speed themselves up. One
Mhm.
of them is connected directly to the mobile suit, and it specifically is mentioned it's like his senses are now the mobile suit senses. Whereas, since, well, again, we put generic people in these suits, but the idea still holds that one of them is
Right,
still
right.
using remote controls on this thing, and the other one is literally, I've got this thing jacked into my back. So,
Right. Which I guess comes down to, does the Barbatos actually speed up, or is it just Mikazuki's reactions now that he is fully linked in with his machine? Because the Trans Am seems to literally get a speed boost. Because what it's explained as is it's using the full power of the reactor now.
I think
Which we've already commented on.
yeah, I think it's literally a combo of the both. Because you
Mhm.
remember, McGillis, I think, is the one that mentions it, that it
Yeah.
looks like he's actively damaging his boosters and everything when Mikazuki goes into that mode
Mhm, mhm.
because he's pushing it beyond its limits.
That's more like pushing your plane into wep mode or something, you know. It's just like, well, yeah, we're gonna override the engine here and damage the whole thing, but we'll get there faster.
Basically, that's what I'm saying. He's going beyond the limits because he has more control than the thing was designed to be able to have, I guess.
So we have two characters, same bonus, same penalty. They are stuck in a melee fight. They're on a time limit. Can either of them win before the time limit?
I would say Mikazuki is more like Hiro Yui than
Yeah.
Setsuna is, in that I'll do whatever it takes. I mean, the boy's paralyzing his body, killing himself to win.
It's
I
always
mean,
about the mission.
I know Setsuna's got the whole "kill me if you want, but I'm gonna keep on fighting" thing,
Mhm.
but you know, only one of them I would say is gonna say mission accomplished.
So your debate here is entirely based on their resolve, and that Mikazuki has a stronger one in this case.
Because I would say they're comparable. Like I was giving the example earlier in Discord, which I was saying bullshit
But
conversation, that the Barbatos is like Battlestar Galactica,
mhm.
and what did I say? Double O was like early Star Trek. The
Yeah,
thing to
yeah,
remember about Battlestar Galactica is that it's designed to fight higher tech level shit. It seems backwards and old tech. That's because the Calamity was like Gundam 00 tech level shit. It's
right.
designed to fight and win against better opponents.
Mhm, mhm. But of course, like that argument depends on the pilots, and as we've been saying, like we want to kind of genericize that and look at the machines here.
No, I'm saying that argument is for the Gundam itself. Because
Mhm.
you gotta remember that the Barbatos was made, what was it, hundreds of years ago? To do that fight, which means it had a different pilot back then.
Yeah, yeah, fair,
So
fair.
it's pilot independent.
Right. So I think the final closing argument I would make over here, then, in response to all of that, is that we have two different melee weapons here. One is a highly specialized weapon meant for cutting through objects that have very high defensive properties, such as through the GN fields and such. Also, there's a couple of laser swords, but as we've said, let's ignore the lasers for right now. And on the other side is a large hunk of metal. I don't think they ever describe that Mikazuki's mace, or the Barbatos's mace, is anything special at all. It's just a large piece of metal, isn't it?
Go back, episode 25, Double O. You remember the Patalmos, which we've already
Uh-huh.
described that their Gundams are just made of ordinary metal and shit. They're not like Gundanium, they don't have any special properties.
Yeah.
The Patalmos punctures the GN field just by running into it. What do you do with a spear, Griff?
My argument would be, if mace is not made out of anything necessarily special. There's no reason it doesn't just get cut in half.
It literally just told you why it would. It's like you're ignoring my comments just to not
I
respond to
felt
them.
like my question wasn't answered. That's
I
why.
literally just told you the episode number, the event. It's like I'm giving you the bibliography and you're choosing to ignore it to ask me the question again. The only
Well
thing
then,
I could do further was literally give you a timestamp, and I think you just say the question again.
but do you think that means the Barbatos wins? That's the question here. Can you argue that it wins from that?
Yes. It punctures through the GN field the same way the Ptolmos did. The Ptolmos is in-universe example that the GN field can be punctured.
But will it get through that sword?
What do you mean that sword?
The anti-Gundam sword.
The anti-Gundam sword is just a sword. It's the Exia is designed to fight other Gundams, right? So its sword is just a fucking sword.
I think it is more special than that. I feel maybe you are also ignoring more things from the same
Well, the
episode.
difference here is that I go at length to give you examples, and you've just said, well, what about the sword, with no further information.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to get something more definitive here, and it just doesn't sound like there's a definitive case between these two, specifically at Melee, when they're honestly just kind of matching up very specifically to each other.
Oh, that's what you said like 5 minutes ago, that we're on a stalemate. I was fine with stalemate, but I mean, because again,
Right, that's
the
why this is also
Exia,
closer.
the Exia is designed to fight other Gundams. The Barbatos is designed to fight high-tech level threats. So literally, they're both designed to kill one another.
So, I'm willing to totally accept the result of stalemate just between you and I here. So, what did our viewers vote for? What do they think? How wrong are we?
Well, I'm the one in the wrong. The thing is that I've come here defending the Barbatos. Well, I'm wrong on opinion. Obviously, we didn't bring in the Gundam designers to tell us who they thought would win.
Oh no,
But
that'd be a completely different show. That'd be like an hour-long interview. That'd be fun.
well, that would be actual Gundam death battle. But yeah, no, Exia with 53% of the votes wins. Aerial Rebuild at 33% of the votes. And again, I would say Aerial has a really good chance of winning this. But that's not what I chose, because I thought the Barbatos is literally designed to win this fight. But it only took in 14% of the votes.
The aerial's cool. The show is great. We just didn't have anyone arguing for them today. So at least that goes ahead and concludes the discussion here. What do people have to say on the poll here? Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, Long says, "Oh, Exia, unless the permit's 6 thing affects machines not linked to the permit, if so, Veda can still probably overcome the data storms. Even then, Exia can always bomb rush Aerial. Barbatos is too old tech. Can't really do much damage to Exia. Also, no flight system."
Well, again, we put it in space. Not a problem with the flight system.
And we tried to even it out.
And old tech doesn't mean anything to this because they operate exactly the same. Also, the hilarity of too old tech still in the future of our actual tech in real life.
Right. So here I think is the interesting facet to the aerial that we kind of ignored, which is the data storm thing. Would that affect everyone?
No.
We don't know because it's
No, it
cross
wouldn't.
universe.
It would not.
Your argument is
Veda,
so,
Veda is not made of permit, and
Yeah.
we know that she can only interact with permit stuff.
Mhm.
I think that was something that came out after that comment was made.
If we were to even go to the links to say if it did affect others even without the permit, what would happen? In this case, I think there is at least the argument that Veda at least could maybe do something, but also that might be bringing in too many things. Is Veda actually helping pilot the machines at all times?
Well, Veda is an artificial intelligence, and Eri is a actual human intelligence, so I think I'm going to side with human intelligence over the 200-year-old AI.
Fair enough. Let's go and see what the next comment says. Miko Rivera says, Exia, as to be honest, the specs of Exia is too much for a Season 1 Gundam, and they are created to fight an entire army alone for each situation. And don't make me start about how broken the GN drive. It's one way closer to Super Robot than Real Robot category, to be honest. Yeah, no,
Reminder
that's a
Reminder that the Barbatos was also designed to fight an entire army by itself. Remember, the Calamity was a bunch of self-replicating super machines, super robots, if you will. So,
gosh, I still want the IBO Terminator timeline. I want it.
yeah,
I want to give it to me.
I'm still considering that maybe we should do the movie sections of the game
Mhm.
from the Venus thing. That's also
Yeah,
IBO.
come back for our Let's Play. But I do like the point that they make. Yeah, the Exia is kind of like closer to a super robot in some ways. I think it's maybe like a 6 out of 10 than anything. Like it's a step closer, but it's still Gundam.
Well, I mean, Razafon is a super robot and not a Gundam.
Yeah.
So you compare those two against each other. But again,
Up
Barbatos
next, Ross Fawn versus Ariel.
Barbatos was designed to fight super robots. That's my counter to that one.
Up next, Dantes Power says, Exia easily, because the thing that has the greatest mobility out of all the Gundams, thanks to the GN Drive's technology's insane AMBAC technology.
And
Can
back.
float at can float at any height and infinite flight time. Ariel may have her floating weapons, but it's useless if the aforementioned Gundam it's fighting against can block beams that atomizes stuff. GN particle beams is the one thing that atomizes stuff it hits. Other Gundam beams would explode and cause a lot of debris. Another GN particle beam fact is that they're faster than any Gundam energy particle beams because they're lighter. Fun fact, the only reason why Setsuna in Season 1 is depending on Exia is simply because it's a very high-spec mobile suit for any starting protagonist. Put him in any of the other two suits, and he'll get the gist faster than them. Well, as long as Ariel allows.
Again, that's why we probably have to have a future poll for pilots.
That could be a fun poll of like which of these Gundam combos that are non-standard would
Oh,
win.
I'm just thinking now what we put Ein versus against Airy. You know, people that are now Gundams themselves.
We put Airy into the Wing Zero. Yes, take 2 steps forward for the
Which
mission.
which pilot that was built into their Gundam pilots a
Gosh.
Gundam better?
Oh gosh, no! I just found a new metaphor to use to hook Soletta to Hiro Yui. Oh my word! Anyway, moving along. Uh, Dash Note says, not to forget the Ahab waves coming from the Ahab generator can interrupt normal electrical tech in a medium range of radius. There are chances of aerial activating data storm slash EMP, cause Barb and Exia to stop working temporarily. Exia got the chance to win if it activates its Transam early to end both opponents.
Well, we already
Oh,
covered this that
Dash Note was.
the aerial data storm EMP thing again
Mhm.
only affects permit technology, so it would be ineffective in that regard. The Ahab wave thing, though, that could do it.
Mhm.
It's another Barbatos win for me then.
I do like the idea that I didn't really think about this. What if it was a 3-way free for all, which I wasn't necessarily considering. I was just ranking them.
Oh no, it's a fight. It
Yeah.
would have been a free for all. But again, uh, aerial fights with laser beams, which would not
Mhm.
affect the Barbatos, which is why again I put Barbatos up there. But again, yeah, remember the Barbatos couldn't enter the capital of Earth because the Ahab waves from its generators would literally shut down all the technology in the city.
Right, would cause a second disaster during the fight. Not great.
Well, not a
And then they
second
do it
disaster,
anyway.
but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the idea that just its generator alone would shut down Exia.
Mhm. And you know what? That's a really good point, and one that honestly just depends on if they get put into a fight. The writer has to decide that really fast.
Well, just to throw this back at Donatus, then for the whole Ahab thing, because they're always going on about the
Mhm.
generator for the
Yeah.
Exia, about how it's not fully powered because then it would be like a sun like reactor on the inside. Well, if
Mhm.
it constantly needs to fluctuate itself to generate power, then something shutting it down like an Ahab reactor would shut it down for good, wouldn't it? Please don't answer that. I know you're going to get really specific, and I'm not going to.
I like that train of thought. I think it's hilarious. It would definitely probably toss the win over to the Barbatos if true.
Well, it'd be
Uh,
like the Chernobyl thing, right? Like it
mhm.
stops getting the water necessary to cool it down, and it suddenly just goes into a GN particle overload.
Steps onto the field, everybody else explodes. Oh, word. And our last comment here, though, is going to be Jaws Phoenix, who says Exia can fight the Barbatos with physical weapons, and energy shields are kindly useless against them, too. So, yeah, I'll go Exia.
Barbatos has an even better physical weapon, though. You remember when he used it against Carter Nabo, and it had like the vice thing on it too, and just crushed her. The Exia's got like physical blades that it loses sometimes.
It's classic Gundam for your sword to slide all the way across space.
Right, right. Whereas the Barbatos literally just clamps onto you and crushes.
There we go. So I think that at least goes ahead and concludes the discussion. Most everybody is in the Exia's corner, except for a couple people who make very good points for the Barbatos, they had included.
As I said, Barbatos is my most hated of them all, so it's literally defending something I don't like.
You didn't win in the court of public opinion, Theta, but you won in my heart.
Well, again, this is what does the audience think? What we think is completely independent. We wasn't out there trying to sell people on it.
Exactly. So, to go ahead and talk about Double O today, we have our last time, which is the Angel's Second Advent. Ooh. Due to the conflict between the Carathon rebel group and the Federation's A-Laws task force, the A-Laws raid a colony under construction to arrest several Carathon members and a falsely accused Saji Crossroad, who is then forced to do a high-gravity labor on the proud colony. When the A-Laws intercept Carathon's prisoner rescue and many inmates are killed, Saji is saved by Setsuna Fse, who has infiltrated the colony to investigate more about the A-Laws. When Setsuna is unable to hold off the A-Law's mobile suits in his battered Gundam Exia, Teria Eride arrives in the Gundam Cerave and drives off the enemy. Saji is brought aboard the Batallimos too, but is detained when he, not aware of Setsuna's identity as a Gundam Meister, threatens to kill Setsuna.
I'm gonna bring up a comment from our Discord, only because it's specifically something I was one wrong about, and
Uh-huh.
two really really don't like.
Go for it.
And I feel like I want to take care of it now before we watch another episode and then get to other comments.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
DDK22, again, from the Discord, if you want to join in these conversations, our Discord link is always somewhere on the page. The A-Laws are killing the prisoners and the rebels in the blue ship. The rebels are trying to rescue the prisoners from the Federation work camp. If you recall, I said it was so obviously the other way around. And I don't like this, and you're gonna like jump on me
Mhm.
all over this, Griff, I'm sure, but I don't believe that a world federation coming together for united purpose would suddenly become the Nazis out of nowhere. I just don't believe it.
You've activated my trap card, but
I know you're gonna go off on me on this, but
but
it's so unbelievable to me that it takes me out of enjoyment.
mhm. I would go ahead and at least like to forward and say, yeah, no, that was terribly confusing, and I don't blame you even one bit for like not thinking that that was the way it was going. Like until I read that summary, I was still confused about who actually owned the station, and the answer
Well,
is the A-Laws, and then they just killed a prison break.
well, because if you go back, like go back to our civilian point of view back on Earth, right? They've gone to a bunch of different places. Like they were on vacation and then school and then
Yeah.
back to their hometown. it looked beyond, being futuristic, normal Earth, right?
Hmm.
So at, at worst, we're looking at our worst, like, third world nations that are still very guilty of human rights abuses and whatnot. But I don't believe that those nations are going to be what we model our future federation after once we've all come together. Like the United Nations, the ones that denounce human atrocities and everything, are first world countries. I mean, obviously not
Hmm.
the one that's current day, really messing it up for the rest of us. But the other ones, the other ones that are currently in control of, let's say, capitalism, wouldn't wouldn't abide by such a thing, especially if we joined in into a worldwide organization united in our cause. It does not read to me, because I mean, even in the country, okay, you can make the point of view that the American point of view for the world is not the only point of view, that
Hmm.
the Chinese, Russian, Indian point of view, uh, Korea, the way that they operate as nations, how they treat their people, the laws that they've agreed to work with, may be different than ours. But you remember, what did we call them? The over nations, the Human Reform League, the
Yeah.
Union. They all had operating areas that we've seen where
Hmm.
work camps didn't exist, where prison labor shit wasn't on display. Like, to then go to a very large public asteroid where we're just doing this shit to people just seems like we took a huge step and just didn't talk about it.
I guess to start with the real world at least. Guantanamo Bay is still exists and is still open. And the US is on the UN Security Council and specifically has never answered for a single war crime ever. And within the US, fun fact, slavery is still legal if you're a prisoner. So that's just the real world bar, which is admittedly incredibly low. Let's talk about the
Well,
show
hold on,
though.
hold on.
The show.
Hold on. I said hold
Go
on.
ahead.
I accept that all of those things that you said are true, and I knew about them before,
Yes, yes.
but they weren't for. Okay, that's the problem with living in the real world versus living in this weird
Yeah.
world that we're watching. Those things are true in the real world. The world that we're watching is also 200 years ahead of us. Plus, they've never shown that, right?
Right, which is why I wanted to talk about the show then, because like we could talk about the real world all day, but it wouldn't apply to the show necessarily until
Well,
we
I just
saw it.
mean that we had a news reporter side main
Which,
character, right?
uh-huh.
Who was also investigating shit and talking about bad things. We
Hmm.
we had the whole IRA thing going on. I'm not even making fun of that anymore. I'm just using it as an example. The
Hmm.
show was showing us the negatives of life on Earth to try and, I guess, push us in the Gundam, or I'm saying the celestial being way. It never showed us this.
The thing that I would bring up would be the Human Reform League, which had its secret child experimentation group. That would be like one of my primary evidences of course they have terrible shit going on. And I do like your point with the reporter of showing like here are the terrible things happening in the world, but I feel like those are framed as like geopolitical things that are happening right now, and not like things on a narrower lens or like focusing on like individual things that are happening. It doesn't feel like something that would necessarily critique the status quo, but then again, that's of course not what most of the show is necessarily about.
I have a problem with the child thing. Only specifically one, because one of my favorite characters is one of the results of that. And
Yes, yes.
two, real life, don't experiment on kids, right? In real
Please
life,
don't. Very bad.
in real life, there's no. You're not going to create a psychic fighter out of experimenting with a kid. However, if you exist in the anime world, I would have signed up for that shit. I'd be in there. I know they look tortured and they all ended up dying, but,
Mhm.
to be the chance, just to be told, there's like a 5, maybe 2% chance you could get like psychic powers. For realsies though, like, you know, I might just be down for that. I don't got a lot going on here. Life's kind of bad, actually. I might just be down for it. Worst case scenario, I'm out of the loop. Best case scenario, psychic powers.
But of course, when it comes to kids, it's not very much like they have very much consent into it, or even much of an idea of what's going on, or the value of life.
Well, I mean, we
So,
have
there's a
two.
lot of things going wrong still here with this picture, even on the assumption that there is the possibility that it works, and they can prove that it
Well,
works.
they can prove that it works.
Exactly, they
Two
can.
two different characters are good examples of it working. And then one of those characters killed all the other examples we can no longer see. Because remember, he flies in there and just beams the place. So
Yeah.
he's guilty of
Uh,
a war crime.
and you know, they were talking about like all the illegal mining that they were doing in at least a couple of episodes. That probably gets put on the table somewhere, I
No,
think.
I already included that when I was talking about the
Did
third
you?
world
I think that's
third world countries that are already guilty of human rights violations. I was including
mhm.
blanket statement. I didn't want to like start going down the list of demonetization.
Right. So, I mean, I think the way I would resolve this is that Gundam as a whole is a show that talks about the geopolitics of war and then the way it specifically affects people, and usually doesn't need to add the extra layer of here's what those countries are doing wrong and why they're wrong for doing things and how these things culminate. Because it's focused very much on the big picture.
I think further down the scale, it's labeled as a Federation work camp, right?
Hmm.
Now you might say, okay, the United States is guilty of this, Russia's guilty of that, this thing happens here, work camps in Africa, etc., etc.
Yeah, yeah.
There is nowhere on Earth you're going to find a United Nations sweatshop, right? The organization that we've built to represent all of us does not procreate the crimes that we all individually do because they're represented by the idealism of all of us. So I guess more so that my problem is that this is a United Earth Sphere Federation work camp, which
Hmm.
again is like saying, "Oh yeah, that is. Did you hear the UN is taking over Guantanamo Bay? They're not closing it. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing. But now it's not
Yeah.
America. It's the United Nations Guantanamo Bay.
Mhm.
No, that's where I'm starting to have the problems.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think it probably brings up the point that probably our UN example applies less and less as we proceed from this point, I think. Because I don't think it is quite a United Nations scenario any longer.
I want to say that the Federation probably, this is
Mhm.
headcanon, maybe. The sorry, the Earth Sphere Federation had to have grown from the United Nations.
Yeah.
I mean, not only because it's like, like the League of Nations gave birth to the United Nations in
Mhm.
concept, possibly only, but the same way I think probably because the United Nations had all of those celestial
Mhm.
being workers in it
Yeah. But
that
I
we
think
know
like in
turned.
yeah, but I'm starting to think like we're not looking at a council deciding on best actions, and instead we're looking at a unified military force that is beginning to do oppression essentially. Which I think we're just at the start. I feel that they're going to start explaining it, which will clear up things of how we got to this stage.
All right. Well, I guess my other thing that probably isn't going to get heard because most of our viewers, I'm sure, got tired of this whole humans are better shtick a little while ago.
How
But
dare you be optimistic about human potential?
look,
Oh god.
look, Superman is my favorite superhero, not because he's overpowered, but because of what he represents.
Or what if
Anyway,
he was evil? Anyway,
well, I mean, there's plenty of those.
I know
Anyway,
they're the garbage.
uh, the only other regret that I have is that I forgot her last name, so I didn't recognize her off the bat.
Uh huh. Oh yeah. That's right. We have our she got in the mech.
Yeah, I assume she has a Terminator arm too, because Terminators
Hell
fucking
yeah.
exist. Well, she has
Yeah,
two
they
hands, and she's obviously taking a drug, and it's either for PTSD or she's having like God, what do you call it?
rejection from the arm or
Yeah,
something.
and she has to take drugs to put it down. I mean,
We're in the Deus Ex timeline. It's New Oprazine or whatever.
I mean, she's going through shit. She's like all shaken up. So it's either, hey, I just killed people, shaken up, or my body's rejecting the arm.
I think from what I remember from most of the last episode, it was a lot of first time combat jitters, I don't want to kill people kind of thing. So she is actively changing personality right now.
I mean, she hasn't said anything, so we can't really.
Yeah, it was entirely body language. We're gonna get there. So, I think that probably covers just about everything. In that case, let's just go ahead and get started. But of course, before we do, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below to feed that algorithm. Top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this unfiltered, uncensored, and uncut, as well as some early access stuff, you can check it out over on the Patreon. Just $5 a month, but no pressure. So support the channel just a little bit extra.
Oh, hey, it's the evil one.
They got full robot bodies.
Wait, was that the evil one?
It was purple.
Yeah, but was the other one dark purple? I can't remember anymore. That thing probably got destroyed in one of those, the thrones.
And then they explode.
Twin drive.
80を超えれば安定稼働領域に入る。いけるな。
トロポジカルディフェクトでのインスタビリティが発生です。
何？
ツインドライブの低下、有効率も増していきます。
Just can't get past layer 33 for some reason.
You see, this research group can't get through this because they gotta believe.
なぜ安定しない？何が足りないって言うんだ。あとはエクシアの太陽炉だけか。奴らが動き出す前に何とかせにゃならんというのに。
最後の望み、エクシアの GN ドライブ。
It's surprising how many people fucking survived.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you remember he has a twin, so... This is an Avatar situation. Your brother died, but you're the next best Gundam pilot we have.
I know my cousin's dead, but it would really mean a lot if you called me by the same name as him and let me into your group as if nothing changed.
Also, you remember how all brothers are also identical twins?
兄の意志を告げというのか。そうは言わない。だが、お前もニール・ディランディと同じように、この世界を変えたいと思っているなら、そのために。
I got a lot of free time since the IRA gave up.
ここに、俺たちの情報が入っている。
Hope this doesn't blow up in your face.
いいのかい？これを俺が保安局に渡したら、
Hey, look at that.
保安局は間もなくヨーロッパ中のカタロンのアジトに鎮圧作戦を行う。なんだと？奴らは本気だ。
What's Cathron?
The rebel group.
パーティー招きに大佐であります。ただいま着任いたしました。
よく来てくれた、大佐。
は。
君も知っての通り、我が独立治安維持部隊アローズは、反連邦勢力を一掃すべく創設された連邦政府直属の部隊だ。攻撃対象は、
Hey, she's alive too.
非連邦3カ国。
Oh, hey.
カタロンと名乗る反政府組織。
The guy that had the night with her, he died though, right?
対象が加わった。
ガンダム。
I think so.
彼らが再び武力介入を行うのであれば、我が部隊はそれに対抗せねばならない。世論も我々の行動を支持している。そして何より私はガンダムとの戦闘経験を持つ 君の手腕を高く評価している。アローズで存分に腕を振るってくれたまえ。
はっ。独立治安維持部隊アローズ。
You know, if you only have 2 people in the rec area, then I think you probably have too many vending machines. Never mind, there's a lot more people.
Hey, we got a combo.
昨日着任しました。
スミルノフ大佐がよく許したものだ。
上層部の命令は絶対です。
機関は
アンドレイ・スミルノフ。階級は少尉です。
Oh, hey, it's the brother or son.
はい、息子です。
There we go.
How the fuck did he survive, by the way? He was point blank in the middle of the explosion. And this isn't a world where people just fucking wear masks. How is he getting away with this?
He's got special exemptions as usual. But I think all of that does shine a light on the questions we were having earlier, that the ALOS are an autonomous group just doing whatever they want.
Well, they're under direct command of the Federation, they said. They just have the ability to do whatever they want in the task the Federation has given them.
Right.
2つの太陽炉を同調させ、粒子生産量を自浄化する。これが WO のツインドライブシステム。
Here we go, exponential power.
Also fucking dumb. That's the Bleach Kenpachi thing. I only swing with 1 arm, but the old man said I should try it with 2 arms. I'd appreciate that they named them just by their color.
I'm so distracted by the Haru.
僕はカタロなんかじゃない。向こうもそう思ってくれればいいがな。
あなたたちはまた武力介入を行うつもりですか？
いいや、アローズを叩く。
連邦軍を？
その政府直轄の独立部隊だ。奴らはすでに14件もの鎮圧という名の虐殺を行った。被害は数万人規模。その情報はすべてもみ消されている。
Yeah, I think you can cover up tens of thousands of people dying.
Yikes.
That sounds dumb.
だからなんです。連邦政府はあなたたちの武力介入が元でできたんじゃないですか。
だからけじめをつけるのさ。
戦えばまた罪のない人が傷つく。
戦わなくても人は死ぬ。
アイオンさん、そろそろテストが始まるです。
わかった。
彼は刹那はどうしてます？
人を迎えに行ったです。
俺らの
I feel like this is a challenge.
Oh yeah?
Here's season 1. Here's nations you can probably recognize. How do you feel about things that you're comfortable with fighting against them? Alright, how about now that we've made it the farther future and people you don't know? How do you feel about it now? I feel like it's just a challenge.
I do like that they have pushed things away from simply staying the status quo forever. I am very happy with what they're doing. But also, she's a complete wreck.
Oh, these two? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot for the bar scene.
知り合いかい？まさか君がこの場所を教えてる人がいるなんて。ちょうどいい。この方も誘って食事にでも。たまには昔話に花を咲かせるのも。
The ominous music.
Half expected a gun.
4年ぶりだな。スメラギリンのリエが。
We know everything that you've leaked. Bang.
彼女の名前は
コードネームスメラギリンのリエが。ソレスタルビーイングの戦術予報士だ。これであんたの逃げ場はなくなった。
I'm here to ruin your marriage.
保安局のガサ入れは本当にあったか。
I don't think they're married. I think they've just been together for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
わかった。
Because it sounds like she was about to leave him, like right there anyway.
こちらジンワン。至急連絡を取る。重要事項につき直接会って話がしたい。エクシアとオーガンダムのマッチングは今までで最高の同調指数を弾き出してはいるが、
70% 以上の数値が出ない。安定領域まであと 10% なんだが。
トランザムで強制的に起動をかければ。
バカ言うな。そんなことすればオーバーロードして最悪自爆だ。
ならばもう一度。
I almost feel like it handled this as a completely different show, with some sort of weird prologue that we watched.
Yeah, it's going in a brand new direction.
攻撃理由不明。ガンダムスローネ。スローネの機体は本計画に入っていない。またスローネは疑似 GN ドライブを搭載。放出される攻撃用粒子には人体に影響を及ぼす可能性あり。人体に影響？どういうことですか？左手の再生治療ができないだなんて。
Regener what?
ビーム兵器には細胞障害を起こすものが含まれているんじゃないかって。
Just start pulling out weird random tech. I would just regenerate people now.
それってどういう？
Oh, he's being.
私を連れ戻してどうする？
Oh, he's being
Indoctrinated.
inducted. Yeah, indoctrinated.
世界は何も変わらない。
Cool, the one guy I like. Changing sides.
Well, they gotta set up the tragic case where the two of them are fighting in Gundams and don't realize it, right?
Yeah, sure, we gotta set up the Vim/Ghoul scenario.
俺は俺たちは戦う。世界に変革を促したことが俺たちの罪ならば、その罪は再び。
You know who else brought change upon the world? Adolf Hitler.
逃げるのか？
Damn it, Theta.
Well, you thought it would say Jesus?
I'm gonna start drinking like this character here.
I'm just saying, bringing change upon the world isn't a good thing by itself.
新たなマイスターが来る。
新たなマイスターって。
よ、遅かったな。
ロックオン。そんな生きて。
そんなに似てるかな。
Yes, literally, almost as though you were designed to.
I want to make a guess here that they put Lock-On into the promotional material of the second season entirely to trick people into the idea that he didn't die. Or wasn't going to die. So this way it hits harder.
They mentioned he had a brother a long time ago, so...
Fair.
しかも連邦は統一化を急ぐあまり、直属の治安維持部隊まで創設して反対勢力の鎮圧を図ろうとしている。
See, the Federation is tyrannical.
Says the rebels, who will always say that against whoever they're rebelling against.
ガンダムが再び現れるなんて、もしかしたら切な。マリナ・イスマイルだな。
I'm sorry, we're your GIMP police? What the fuck is this?
In the future, there's one way to dress.
Look, I just want to also make it known that I am also not blaming the Federation just yet, knowing that there's a weird kid and his 7 best friends living on the moon.
あなたは世界の変革よりも戦いを求めているように見受けられます。
そう。戦いの果てにこそ 世界の変革があるわ。彼らに連絡を。わかりました、お嬢様。
This character just here to start some shit. Also,
your favorite girl.
Yeah, working together with them. To be fair, that's what they met last time for, so.
Hey, it's that kid I just mentioned.
Oh yeah, it's the gang. What is your deal, man? Tell us. No, he's just gonna be creepy.
司令本部からの情報です。間違いないかと。さすがは片桐司令。やることにそつがない。モビルスーツ前期発進。これより我が艦はガンダムのスペース。
Aren't you running Cathedra?
Only my bad feelings hit there, Mark.
それを決めるのは私ではない。待機していろ、アレビー獣医。
足回りのセッティング OK です。
ご苦労。
Yeah, it's weird. So season 1, she's just Luis all the time. She's civilians. And now these guys just call her by her last name all the time because it's a military group.
Yup.
Threw me off because It's been Luis.
ワン・リューミンからの情報だ。アローズにこちらの位置を知られた。セラビーで出る。
There we go, space battle time.
マッチング作業を急いでくれ。
了解。敵部隊接近、敵部隊接近、戦闘準備、戦闘準備、敵部隊接近、敵部隊戦うのか。戦闘準備、戦闘準備。第二デッキ、ハッチオープンです。
You remember my hope was that Saji would get into a mobile suit and fight Celestial Being, not Luis.
War is bringing out the worst in everyone.
It's like that old saying goes, war always changes. Sorry, you just say hentai?
I don't think so.
That's what I heard.
だがロールアウト間近の新型がある。
2機だけ。
随分と寂しい組織なんだな。
アイオンさん、ノリエガさんから緊急暗号通信が来たです。
ノリエガ？スメナギさんから？
戦術プランです。開始予定まで丸々3人。
She's had 3 drinks, she's ready, she's reaching her Balmer peak.
She's literally done nothing to come up with a plan, and she hits one button.
Yeah, that's all the planning they needed.
I like to think there's nothing there, it's just, I hit the plan button.
Only she had the password to it.
Oh look, it's that other iron-blooded orphans trick that we've seen before. That would possibly make them win in a fight.
Oh look, they're using it to ram them.
Yeah, ダブルを出す。ちょっと待て、セズナ。こっちはまだ時間がない。操縦を頼む。なんだって。
小型艇着艦準備およびダブルを発進シークエンス。
Like, dramatically it's gotta work, but logically, they shouldn't be doing this.
Well, yeah, logically, changing pilots doesn't change the ability of the suit.
Right, there's obviously that, but like, if you still haven't succeeded in making it work, you don't just throw it out there and hope. But I mean, dramatically, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Well, just like a comment from earlier. Apparently Setsuna is a Gundam piloting genius. You know, like, all the other Gundam pilots are fucking idiots, apparently.
I do like the jetpack he used, though. I like the maneuvering jetpack.
I mean, Amuro Ray literally sat down and read the instruction manual before he piloted the very first Gundam. Let's throw that out there.
And then it just explodes, series ends.
Cast ye in the name of God. Ye not guilty.
Oh, okay.
Because light beams operate on the same wavelength as wind, right? We just blow them back. How are you confused about the thing has an additional engine.
This is brand new research technology they just revealed.
He sent out his fake compatriot with a Gundam that had 7 engines on it. So how is he confused?
They're clearly doing some funky stuff, that's all I'm saying.
Hey, how about instead of fighting it, you shoot the ship that you were there to attack? You fire like 700 shots at it. What if those were all targeting the ship behind it? So even that tech exists here.
Oh, didn't stand a chance though.
Of course not, he only had 1 engine.
刹那あれがガンダムの力か
刹那
敵モビルスーツ撤退していくです
'Cause they always fucking do.
I mean, if something weird just popped up, you leave.
あの GN ドライブは何だいわからない。レベル7まで掌握している君が。
イオリア・シュヘンベルグ
So your purple-haired guy looks a lot like our purple-haired guy, so I'm confused.
It's okay, they're brothers.
Probably. Or one of them survived when you thought we was dead, or something like that.
But I do love how this green-haired kid keeps being outplayed by a 200-year-old corpse.
I don't care how many people in the comments, defend how genius the man was 200 years ago. Sorry, but no. It doesn't play out that way.
I mean, if I were to make a comparison, it would be to, a Tesla-like figure, right? Someone, you think is absolutely genius, who's, ahead of his time. He's, he probably made robots or something. It's, and then, it's mythological smart guy. Which is, a very new concept.
Tesla got outplayed by a businessman. Right?
Oh, yeah, no.
Doesn't
the
matter
real one
how
is
smart
unfortunately like every nerd.
I mean, I was in the comments, I was describing it a lot like, alright, say we wanted to go to the next planet over, right? And we put people in, cryo sleep.
Uh-huh.
And then they get there and they wake up from cryo sleep and find out the planet's already colonized. Because in the, 50 years after we sent them, we came up with better transportation technology. Not like Star Trek, I just mean, faster engines, whatnot.
Yeah, you get there first, it's already colonized, they're like, wait, I thought we were supposed to be first.
No, hold on a sec.
スメラギさん、お帰りなさい。お久しぶりです。ノリアガさん。
相変わらず無茶な戦術だ。
Only a drunk could have thought of this.
あ、ロックオン。
We pulled this 4 times now. No, it's not the older guy.
弟さんなんですって。録音ストラトス。
Well, his life is ruined.
Yep.
違うあの男は彼じゃない
00が起動した。
Oh, right, he's still captured.
囚われたマイスターを救うべく失意の戦術予報士が戦火の中へと飛び込む。次回アレルヤ奪還作戦。もう誰も失いたくはないから。
Ooh.
I don't know why they just didn't kill him. Anyway, point being that technology advances, and you can't count on multi-generational technology. So the concept of a 200-year-old genius, I know someone posted something about Veda being an AI and it being able to upgrade itself because it's connected to the internet or something like that. It's
right,
you know what it doesn't upgrade? What it's made of. Because doing that would require people to know it was there. The same place where your 200-year-old genius's body is kept.
Who went to the moon base and dusted it off?
The UN guy who was attempting to betray everyone.
I mean literally, who's the janitor?
Oh, there isn't one. Veda is its own janitor. I'm just saying.
Who gets rid of the dust?
You don't.
Somebody's gotta be there. That's
you don't
why
dust the moon. It's because it's only made of dust. I'm just saying, it's such a stupid conceit. Okay,
but
what if we built?
Work with.
What if 200 years ago this guy built Skynet, right? Mm-hmm. And then we just let Skynet unknown for 200 years.
I mean, like, consider, say, what if the Babbage engine was running Skynet? If like a bunch of cords were like tied together around a stick, and that occasionally gave orders to a wooden machine.
Well, it's more like the automated Turk.
Yeah, exactly.
In that you think it's a guy, and it might not be a guy, but it's probably just a guy.
Yeah, it's just a guy. It was just Steinberg all along, connected to the machine.
It's literally if, like, I think I also made the example of the Doc Brown thing, right? Uh-huh. Where Doc Brown gets sent back in time at the end of Back to the Future 2, and the technology used to contact Marty is Western Union. Right? Because you work with what you got. 200 years ago. I mean, it's just so stupid. Right? It'd be like if I handed you this page of documents, like a stack the room large of documents of if and statements. Right? Alright, yeah. Well, this is what happens if Russia invades the Ukraine in this year. If not, go to page 7,265,802 if Russia invades the Ukraine on this other year.
Oh, I get it. Steinberg is the world's greatest choose-your-own-adventure writer. That's why he's such a genius.
He's a Zordon level at best. Give me 5 teenagers with attitude. No, give me 5 teenagers with PTSD.
Oh, gosh.
Let's color code them in their mechs by their nations of origin.
I think, though, of other plot-related things. The brothers thing. So I'm going to actually go ahead and defend that. Because I am a victim of this, too. I have a younger brother, 3 years younger than me. And despite
Griff,
my opinion,
you can't be the older brother.
You can't be
the older brother. Yeah, that means you're going to be the one that dies.
Obviously.
So that your younger brother can take your place. Well, you better start teaching him how to do this this whole podcast thing that we're in, because I'm going to need him to take over in your eventual car accident / overdose. I don't know, Griff. I'm just making guesses here.
We'll go with Unabomber. I'll fly a plane into something. I don't know. I think those are different.
That's what the Unabomber did, right? He flew planes into things. He wasn't famous for living off the grid, obviously, what you're doing right now, and sending mail bombs to people.
I send podcast episodes to people in the mail.
That's famously what the Unabomber did, flew planes into things.
But yes, though I would contest that we look nothing alike. Everyone else on Earth disagrees.
That's all right. When we describe you to the sketch artist, much like the Unabomber, gonna get it right on.
There are people who see us on basically a relatively regular basis, who see us together sometimes at the exact same time, and then later at different times, and will confuse the two of us.
I mean, it'd be weird if you and your younger brother were never seen at the same time. Turns out you killed your younger brother and are just trying to fake it like he's still there.
We've never seen them in the same room at the same time. Are they really two different people? We just don't know.
The family get-togethers are awkward when you go to the bathroom, and that's when your younger brother shows up.
Would you not feel like the full deception to find the same face on both sides of the coin? I wonder.
Come on, you've barely eaten anything, whereas you've been eating all night. I had a big breakfast. Been eating for 3, technically, this whole time.
Yeah. So, while, of course, brothers and sisters are all visually different, sometimes they land pretty close together. Enough to fool everybody else.
Can't wait till we have your sister on one of these things. It turns out just to be you in a wig. You've been the whole family the whole time. Turns out every time we've heard somebody off camera, it's just you having a tape recorder.
Oh god, I'm just actually a puppet. You know, I'm on strings here.
You've been green screening your dog. It's just you in a dog costume.
Inside of a dog, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, so what else do we need to go over here? We've talked about the brand new Trans Am double drive thing. We've talked about Steinberg. We've talked about the brothers. What is there anything we're missing?
Setsuna is such a great pilot that somehow he beats the mechanic at doing the mechanic's job.
I told you the problem was they just didn't believe. I called it.
I mean, it's so dumb. Anyone who's like had a monitor break and just believed the shit all over the monitor and it didn't turn back on. You know, anyone with that old TV. You know, any electronics issue you've ever had. For one thing, crying on it probably didn't help, no matter what Pokemon's taught you. Probably
Well, you
worse
see,
than
that
the
only brings
electronics.
people back to life. That's not relevant to getting the machine to start, you know.
Well, if you believe that your machine's alive enough, that believing in it hard enough. I don't know. People believe in Santa Claus or Jesus Christ enough that people come back from the dead, depending on your movie or novel of choice.
Ah, yes, I remember when Santa Claus resurrected somebody.
Specifically, Santa Claus resurrected himself through belief. It happens in more than one thing. More specifically, Violent Night. If you saw that movie.
Oh gosh, no, I haven't. But now I'm just imagining like Santa Claus just walking up to a young kid, just like, "You want them back? Sometimes dead is better."
Well, no, it's the like Home Alone / Die Hard crossover. Just replace Bruce Willis with Santa Claus, and at the end of the movie, he's just like dead. And everybody that didn't believe in him throughout the movie comes together. I believe in Santa Claus.
Ah, so that's how the Santa Claus got started. I see.
Well, I think I even shared bits of it. That Santa Claus is actually like a couple thousand-year-old Viking.
I'm sorry, I'm picturing that and it's hilarious.
It's a good movie. I'd recommend it.
In that case, though, I think that's all we got here. Gundam 00 for today. I'm Griffin, that's Theta, and we will catch you next time. See you around. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?